He thought it was a joke. Until the guard reacted. The evening air in London carried a crisp chill, but for Michael Sanders, the alcohol in his system kept him warm. The 39-year-old American tourist staggered through the crowded square in front of Buckingham Palace, his friends trailing behind, phones in hand, recording his every move. "Bro, you have to do it. Make him blink," one of his friends called out, laughing. Michael wiped his mouth with the sleeve of his jacket, his balance swaying slightly. "These guys aren't real soldiers," he slurred, eyeing the unmoving British Royal Guard standing at his post. "They're just decoration. It's all for show." Tourists bustled around, some pausing to take pictures, others whispering to each other as they noticed Michael's growing antics. A few parents hurried their children away, sensing that the night was about to take an uncomfortable turn. Michael stepped forward, a cocky smirk plastered on his face. The guard before him stood tall and motionless, his scarlet uniform pristine, his rifle held with disciplined precision. The iconic bearskin hat added to his commanding presence, yet to Michael, it was nothing more than an invitation for a laugh. "What's the matter, mate?" Michael taunted, waving his hand inches from the guard's face. "You allowed to smile? Bet you want to laugh right now." The guard remained as still as a statue, his eyes locked forward, unfazed by the drunken tourist's attempts to provoke him. A few chuckles rose from the growing crowd, and Michael, feeding off the attention, took another step closer. "Oh, come on," he laughed, turning to his friends for validation. "This guy is like a wax figure. I bet if I—" A loud gasp rippled through the spectators as Michael lurched forward, dangerously close to violating the guard's personal space. "Dude, back up," one of his friends muttered, suddenly less amused. But Michael was too deep in his own bravado to listen. He had no idea how close he was to making a serious mistake. The moment lingered as Michael swayed slightly on his feet, his confidence emboldened by the laughter from a few onlookers. Encouraged, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled beer receipt, waving it in front of the guard's face. "Hey, I bet this is worth more than what they pay you, mate," he sneered, grinning at his own joke. The crowd stirred uneasily, their amusement beginning to turn into discomfort. Still, the guard remained utterly still, his expression unreadable beneath the towering bearskin hat. Michael scoffed and turned back to his friends. "Seriously? This guy won't even blink? What a joke!" Some tourists shook their heads. A mother clutched her young daughter's hand, gently steering her away from the unfolding scene. A group of elderly visitors murmured to themselves, one shaking his head in disapproval. Unbothered, Michael took another step closer, his drunken arrogance now pushing past the point of reason. He leaned in, his face mere inches from the guard's stoic expression. The tension in the air thickened. "What if I do this?" Michael snickered, reaching out his hand as if to tap the guard's chest. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. A few raised their phones, sensing something serious was about to happen. Michael's fingers hovered just above the guard's uniform, and for the first time, there was a noticeable shift. The guard, still silent, suddenly tightened his grip on his rifle. A silent warning. But Michael? He was too far gone to recognize it. He was about to learn why no one disrespects a royal guard. The air around Buckingham Palace felt heavy with anticipation. The small crowd that had gathered knew what was coming next, except for Michael. His cocky grin widened as he finally closed the distance. His hand made contact. A sharp, collective gasp escaped from the onlookers. Michael had just tapped the guard's chest. The guard reacted instantly. With military precision, the royal guard stomped forward, his rifle shifting into a ready stance. The sound of his polished boots striking the pavement echoed across the square. Michael stumbled backward, his eyes widening in confusion and shock. The drunken haze that had fueled his arrogance evaporated instantly. Whoa, easy, man. It was just a joke. Michael blurted out, holding his hands up in surrender. But the guard did not respond. He did not need to. His rigid posture and unwavering stare conveyed a message that even Michael could now understand. The crowd murmured, some tourists whispering, "He did it. He actually touched him." One man, an elderly veteran, smirked and muttered, "That fool's lucky the guard didn't do worse." Michael's friends, who had been laughing just moments earlier, were now shifting uncomfortably. One of them reached for Michael's sleeve. "Dude, we should go. Now." But it was too late. Two uniformed security officers were already making their way toward them. The first officer, a tall man with a sharp gaze, moved quickly through the crowd, his radio crackling. "Step away from the guard, sir," he commanded, his tone leaving no room for argument. Michael, still trying to process what had just happened, hesitated. "It was just a joke, mate. No harm, right?" The second officer, a woman with a no-nonsense demeanor, stepped beside him. "You touched the Queen's Guard, sir. That is assault. We need you to come with us." The weight of their words finally sank in. Michael's face paled, his drunken arrogance melting into panic. "Wait, are you serious?" Before he could finish, the officers each took an arm, guiding him firmly away from the guard. The crowd, now buzzing with excitement and disbelief, watched as Michael was escorted out of the square. Some tourists murmured about how foolish he had been. Others quietly nodded in respect toward the guard, who had already resumed his stance as if nothing had ever happened. The guard, still standing tall, never once looked at Michael. Because he didn't need to. Michael sat in the security office, his head pounding from both the alcohol and the harsh realization of his mistake. His hands fidgeted on his lap as one of the officers filled out paperwork. "Sir, you're being fined for disorderly conduct and interfering with the Queen's Guard." "Do you understand?" the officer asked firmly. Michael exhaled sharply, nodding. "Yeah, I get it." He glanced around at his friends, who had grown uncharacteristically silent. The reality of the situation had sobered them up more than any cup of coffee ever could. Outside, the royal guard remained at his post, unshaken, unbothered, and undefeated. Michael had learned a lesson in respect. The guard had never spoken a word. But his presence had said everything.